Everyone.
Right. And I did just hit record. I usually tell the same anecdote in every webinar about how once I forgot to press record, and I almost did this time. But again, for everyone
We got
joining
there.
in after the fact, I'm Bethany. This is Chelsea, and thanks for joining us today. A little bit about Broadreach if you're new to Broadreach. We have been around for over 30 years now, running international programs specifically designed for middle and high school students, so about age 12 to 18. And we have kind of a special focus on the water, so scuba diving, sailing, marine biology, and conservation. And we also do have some veterinary medicine programs. But today we'll be talking specifically about our marine bio programs. So a little bit kind of about those in general before we get into some more specifics. Um, they are some of our most popular programs, learning about marine ecosystems, and usually they're in tandem with learning to dive, which is a really awesome skill for marine biologists to have. Of course, if you're collecting data, doing research, things like that. Most of our trips are introductory and cover kind of broad topics, and that really allows students to find out maybe if there's a specific focus or area within marine biology that they're passionate about. Coral conservation, sharks, field research, sea turtles, stuff like that. So that's kind of something nice about our marine bio trips. Um, we have trips for both middle and high school program, or for both middle and high school students, the separate. Our middle school trips are non-academic in that they don't offer college credit. So there's no tests, things like that. They're more hands-on and informal and kind of guided by the students' interests in the things that they're seeing out in the field. Our high school marine biology trips, on the other hand, all offer the option to receive college credit. So they are more academic, while they, of course, still are very centered on hands-on and practical experiences. Um, and you can choose to opt out of the college credit, but we encourage everyone to opt in. Just students usually do a lot better than they think they will, and it can't hurt to give it a try. And then on all of our marine biology trips, middle and high school, as well as all kind of Broadreach trips, have that kind of Broadreach culture element. So developing leadership and kind of some life skills, whether it's maybe cooking and cleaning, it might their first time living with a group of other peers. They all feature small group sizes and really awesome instructors. Before I hand things over to Chelsea, I want to go over some of the questions that we get kind of across the board about Broadreach trips. Um, Focusing first on traveling to and from program. Tons of parents want to know how do they get there? Most of our students travel alone to the program location. Depending on their age, they may need to or choose to fly as unaccompanied minors with the airline. Those regulations kind of depend on which airline you're choosing. Occasionally, parents or family members will choose to fly with their student, either to or from, maybe in conjunction with kind of some personal vacation. And we can coordinate a drop off with our instructors in that case. If they're traveling to the Caribbean, we do have a big base down in St. Martin for those trips that are based out of there. We have a large support staff, and so those base staff will be waiting at the St. Martin Airport to collect students. And then for our other programs, are the instructors will be waiting. And you'll get an email a couple days before the start of the trip with either pictures of the instructors or of some of the base staff that might be waiting to pick up your students. So they'll kind of get an idea of who might be there collecting them. They'll also be wearing Broadreach shirts. We send every year a Broadreach t-shirt to all the participants so they can kind of identify each other in the airport. We encourage you to wear that on travel day. If you're nervous about traveling alone, feel free to reach out to us. We can give you some guidance and occasionally, especially if you're traveling to St. Martin, since we have different trips running in at the same time, it's likely that at least some students will be traveling through some of the same hubs, and so we can offer to connect people on the same flight. Speaking of our instructors are really awesome people. There are typically two or three per trip, depending on the trip. A little bit about them in general. The average age of our instructors is about 27, so a little bit older maybe than kind of your typical summer camp. Um, if they're leading academics, then they will have an advanced degree, maybe a master's degree or a PhD. So that kind of contributes to a little bit higher age, average age. If they're learning diving on the program, then one will also be open water scuba instructor, so certified um, to instruct students and certify them. And another will be a marine biologist. At least one of them will be WFR certified or Wilderness First Responder. It's kind of a more advanced certification than like a CPR, but it's designed to kind of provide assistance in the off the beaten track locations. Um, they do undergo a multiple round interview process, background check, all that stuff. And then once they're hired, we have a week-long training in person, either in Raleigh or in the Caribbean. So we really get to kind of know all the instructors really well, see how they are, learn a lot from them. And we have over 50% return rate, at least as of last summer, which is really awesome. And I think also it gives them kind of more expertise. They already know a lot of the Broadreach ways, and it's really great to have them come back year after year. Accommodations, we get another question. This is kind of a difficult question to answer in a short way when we're talking about all of our marine bio trips, since it really varies based on the program. Of course, if you're doing one of our Caribbean liveaboard trips, they'll be living on a boat like this one, a catamaran. But if you're doing one of the other marine biology trips outside of the Caribbean, then it kind of varies. And Chelsea will touch on that a little bit when she kind of highlights some of the programs. But they could be staying in a villa, in a small hotel, a guest house, dorms at a research station, etc. But in general, you should expect to kind of share a room with students of the same gender. There's a lot of shared living space, especially if you're on a boat, but there are small groups, so everyone gets to know each other really well and kind of creates a really cool family-like environment. Another awesome question we get is about food. Food is very important, especially as we're doing lots of cool activities and we need to fuel ourselves. Again, this does vary a little bit based on which program you're doing, but in general, many of our program students will be cooking for themselves. We have cook teams and clean teams. And we do have a galley guide or a recipe book with some ideas and things. And it's kind of a fun activity for students to do together. You might come home with some new cooking skills. There'll also be some meals out. And then on other programs, there might be more meals that are catered or provided by our partners. So again, we're typically able to accommodate most dietary needs and dietary restrictions, but please do let us know ahead of time. And if it's something you're concerned about, yeah, just touch base with us and let us know which programs you're looking at, and we can kind of help guide you, knowing what your specific needs might be. And I'd say the last big question we get is centered around communication. How can I communicate with my students when they're on program? Broadreach is proudly phone free. We've been that way for years. And I think maybe it can provide or produce some anxiety in students, but at the end of the day, it ends up being the best part of the program. And we see that from both parents and students in our post-program surveys. So we encourage students to travel down with their phones in case anything happens, any delays or anything on during the travel. On the first night, their phones will be collected. They'll have the opportunity to call home about once a week, so their phones can be returned to them, or they can use an instructor phone depending if you have an international plan or not. We can accommodate both. But I think the best thing is that we have daily blogs that a different student will write every day. So it's kind of an indirect way of communicating with your student, hearing what they did. Um, and we have daily photos that are added. We have a shared album. So we'll kind of once or twice a day upload or dump a bunch of photos from the previous day's activities as long as there's good cell coverage and Wi-Fi and everything like that. So you can follow along with them even if you're not talking to them every day. Um, Also important if there are an emergency or other situations, maybe a family member's birthday or a student's birthday, we're happy to coordinate a time to connect with your student. During the summer, when we have trips in the field, someone is on call 24/7 for emergencies, and we can contact the instructors and set up any special, requests that you have as far as needing to communicate things to your student or set up a time for them to get in contact with you. Right, now I will hand it over to Chelsea to get a little bit more kind of highlights on our specific marine biology adventures.
Yeah, awesome. So we have a couple of middle school programs, one that is boat-based and one that is land-based. So if you're a little bit nervous about living on a boat, Bonaire is the perfect option for you. But if you're excited for the challenge of living on a boat, we got our Caribbean Intro to Marine Biology. Um, so for the Caribbean Marine Biology voyage, this is great for students who are interested in learning to dive. So you can get the open water course, but we also offer the advanced course. So you can do one or the other. This program, you are literally sleeping above the reefs. We do really cool activities like coral cakes, and we use Play-Doh to make coral polyps. We'll have really niche chats in the afternoons about either sharks or conservation, fish ID. So it really gives students who are maybe considering marine biology and studying that further, it's kind of that like basic introduction. And they get a lot more background on kind of what they're seeing in the water and diving every day, sailing around islands, and going on hikes, and of course, learning to cook on this program. So most of their meals will be cooked. Each student will have an opportunity to learn, and then they'll have a couple of opportunities for eating out on the islands. But for the most part, they're cooking on the boat and hanging out with their crewmates. Our Bonaire program is for students who are already open water certified. So this is an opportunity to get your advanced certification. And we also do a coral restoration specialty on this and a sea turtle AI specialty, which is new and super unique. There's not actually many places that do it. So it's a combination of the dive center and sea turtle conservation Bonaire. So they've worked together to create this new specialty. So our students are kind of like the first access to be able to get this. And they learn about corals. The corals in Bonaire are phenomenal. The shore diving there is some of the best shore diving in the world. So students live on a beachfront property here. They have a variation of like home cooked meals and going out from time to time. And then have a vast majority of dive sites they can choose. One of our highlights on this program is the land sailing and the donkeys, which if you've never been surrounded by 50 donkeys, just go to Bonaire. It's incredible. And they also have a really cool donkey cam and you can watch them. I do that all the time.
I was about to bring up the donkey camps.
Yeah, I love the donkey cam. So for our high school adventures, we have a few. We like to start with our Curacao Marine Biology and our Caribbean Marine Biology voyage. These two, I love it if someone is passionate about marine biology. These are the great foundation programs. So really kind of is that first step to give you the introduction to marine biology, and then you can kind of branch out from there. So the first program we'll talk about is Caribbean Marine Biology Voyage. So this college credit course, students are living on a boat and basically eat, sleep, breathing, diving the reef, living out your best like mermaid lives. So students will have academic lessons. They will have an exam. We offer the open water and advanced on this program. And we also teach some aware courses as well, because with any dive program, it's good to be aware of the conservation side of this program. We don't have any prerequisites in terms of diving, so you can just join us as long as you're comfortable swimming. And literally sleeping above a reef every night, which is great. Our Curacao Marine Biology is very similar in terms of the academic component. This program is great for students who are maybe not interested in living on a boat, but you do get to live at a research station. So we have shared accommodations here. So it's like 2 students per room, and then a shared bathroom space. As we're living in an active research station here, we kind of make our own breakfasts and lunches. Sometimes we go out for lunch, and then we have catered dinners by a local organization. So they bring the food for the groups, and then sometimes we go out for dinner on kind of like our reward days, like, yay, we're open water divers, or yay, we're advanced, or we saw a bunch of sea turtles today. We're going out for dinner. So we can kind of celebrate uh, those little wins. We have the coral restoration specialty, which we teach on this. I would say this program offers the most opportunity for students to get hands-on experience in a bunch of different fields. We work with mangroves, we work with lionfish, we go to the aquarium and we learn about aquaculture. So they're actually growing conch in a lab. We learn about sharks. We volunteer with the sea turtle conservation. So this gives students like so much opportunity for hands-on experience with the flow of the academic components as well, whilst also seeing what real researchers are doing in the field, which is awesome. Yeah. So once you've kind of started our foundation courses and you're like, yes, marine biology is what I want, but you're like, okay, let's like specialize a little bit. We have our Fiji shark studies, Azores whales and dolphins, and our Yucatan programs, which kind of specialize into more unique field for the students. So, Fiji Shark Studies. It's our furthest program. For this one, we have a suggested group flight from LAX, so all the students will meet there, fly to Fiji, and then our instructors will meet them with big smiles, lots of snacks, lots of water, and they will head out to the Yasawa Islands. When we're there, we kind of have like an all-inclusive package in a sense, so lots of traditional Fijian meals, and also some like local or some familiar US meals as well, so that students aren't stretched too much out of their comfort zone. So we'll get the advanced certification when we're out there and also work on our shark conservation diver before heading back to the mainland and going to Pacific Harbor, where we start our shark diving, which is amazing. There's so many sharks in the water, and students can start studying, collecting data for their research projects that they do on this program, and also species presentations. And then we end the program down the coast, and this is where we do some whitewater rafting. We might learn about tide pooling, and going to local villages. So this program is great for students who love sharks and are interested in continuing their dive certifications and understanding more about a specific marine biology path. The Azores Whales and Dolphins program is our non-diving marine biology option. Actually, a lot of marine biology is not based diving. A lot of marine biologists are in labs, they're on boats, they're collecting data. So as much as there is life under the water, there's a lot of data and a lot of activity that happens above the water too. So in this program, you learn a lot about those skills and honing those skills. So this is a land-based program, but we do spend a lot of time out on boats. And when we're out on the boats, we are collecting data. So this could be feces samples, skin samples, hydrophones in relation to the acoustics. Our students have used drone footage to assist with like mammal tracking. The most popular species they see here are sperm whales, but there's over 27 different cetaceans in the water around the Azores. So you can really see anything. They saw a whale shark a couple years ago. They got in the water with a really friendly pod of dolphins. We get to go to 2 different islands. So the Azores actually has a really late development from whaling community. It actually just switched over in like the 80s. So the students get to learn about that history of how this whaling community turned into a sustainable conservation ecotourism hub, whilst learning those hands-on practical skills in marine biology in probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, I will say everyone that has gone there is like, you've got to go to the Azores with the instructors and everything.
Yeah, we actually convinced our director to go there, so he's actually heading there in spring break. So and then we have our Yucatan Ocean Conservation. So you've learned marine biology, you love it, but you're like passionate now about getting rid of the invasive species, protecting the sea turtles, protecting the corals. This program teaches you how to create grant proposals, how to protect those marine areas, or if you want to create a marine park. So the students also on this program get our Broadreach Conservation Divers. You have to be open water certified to join this program, but this is the only program that offers our distinctive specialty that is really about kind of seeing what needs to be done, actioning it, and then being the voice and sharing that knowledge forward and kind of being the change and the voice that you want to see in the world. Whilst also learning, working on corals, going on lots of dives, learning about sea turtles. So we do sea turtle monitoring as well. We'll learn about Mayan ruins. We'll go to Chichen Itza. And one of the biggest program highlights is we do go on a snorkel with whale sharks, which is very cool.
Very cool. And
Yeah.
we do have one honorable mention as well.
Yes. Yeah. So we have the Costa Rica sea turtles. So this is more of an ecology biology focus. So less kind of that marine biology, but also sea turtles, oceans. So if you are passionate about sea turtles, this is a great option as well, where you basically eat, sleep, breathe sea turtles. You work in different research stations, and you can kind of see the different practices that happen around Costa Rica when it comes to sea turtle monitoring.
And get to collect biometric data on the little sea turtle hatchlings and release
Yeah.
them, which is very cool.
Yes. Everyone wants to hold a little sea turtle.
Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. All right. So now we had a few submitted questions, but we'll also open it up for anyone here live to submit questions in the Q&A box. While you're doing that, I will go ahead and mention we do have a promo code that goes to the end of the weekend to save $250 on any of our 2026 adventures. And that's with the code Marine250. I'll also point out that we have Chelsea's email there if you have kind of more specific questions, maybe if you have a certain special circumstance or whatever that you want specific answers to, then we're happy to chat with you as well. Can email Chelsea. Also, feel free to give us a call, and we'd love to talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Going into the submitted questions, had one, how do the certifications for sailing and diving work, and how do college credits work? So for sailing and diving, for sailing specifically, that would be in one of our Caribbean, either Caribbean Intro to Marine Bio or the Marine Bio Voyage for high school. I believe those are through our you receive our Broadreach Intro to Yachting certification for sailing. That's processed after the trip ends within a couple weeks, I believe. The certifications for diving will be issued through PADI, which is, I think, the biggest certifying.
It is, yeah. The biggest
Yeah,
certifying agency. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
usually processed within a week as well. So students will get access to that, and they typically have to download an app. So they get an email. They don't do cards anymore, just to kind of save the environment. So it is an app on your phone, but you get your cards on there.
yes. And if you have like a specific, we've had students before, like, oh, we're going on a dive trip right after. Can you like rush process my certification? If you send us an email or something and let us know, then we can kind of put a rush on that, assuming
Yeah.
we've got all the paperwork we need. But we can usually accommodate that. As for college credits, we issue college credits through our partner university. We're actually in the process of transitioning from our previous institution, but so that's kind of still in the works. But they will be through an accredited U.S. institution. Basically, you'll receive a transcript. That tends to happen a little bit later since the university has to do that kind of in the fall after their fall semester has started, and things can go a little bit slower, but you'll receive an official transcript. And then if you're applying to other colleges and universities, you would basically send them that transcript, and then they can process that as transfer credit. So I think most of them are issues like natural sciences credits, I believe, through
Yes. Yeah.
Broadreach. But
Natural science. Yeah.
yes.
And then all the programs are 2 college credits, but our Fiji one is actually 3 college credits.
Yeah. And in the past, we haven't heard of anyone having issues having those transferred. So it's been very successful.
Yeah.
Another question, Is this open to kids the summer after their senior year? Yes. Yes. So the way Broadreach does grades, it's based on the last grade that you've completed. So if you've recently completed 12th grade, then you are still eligible for our high school trips. Say, another one. Can you tell us about safety precautions, particularly for younger kids like 13 and 14, so assuming middle schooler, and first-time scuba divers? Chelsea, can you talk a little bit about that as a dive pro?
Yeah. Um, so for the all of our instructors will be professionals in their field. Um, and our diving all takes place definitely in the Caribbean. We are restricted in terms of like where we dive. So we always dive somewhere where students can easily actually stand up. So if a student gets nervous underwater or a little bit uncomfortable, it's very easy for them to just stand up and be like, okay, I'm a little bit nervous about this. And our instructors right there, they can help them just like to slow down, talk through the process, um, and kind of like get them moving. And if they need a little bit more one-on-one time, that's always easy for us to accommodate in our programs. And then again, with our world trips as well, we'll always go somewhere shallow for those first introductory lessons, just following with the PADI standards.
Yeah, and I will also mention that our we follow the PADI, standards for safety. And
On
our
all of our
standards,
trips.
we
Yeah.
also have, Broadreach standards, which are actually even a little bit more conservative. So as far
Yeah.
as depth limits, things like that. And then as far as the ratio of dive professionals to students. How many kids typically attend the program at one time? The max that we'll ever have is 12 students on a trip. There are a couple trips that take fewer students. So that would be, in this case, Bonaire. We accept a maximum of 8 students. But the other ones, for marine biology, the other ones that we've talked about are 12. So that would be the maximum number of students that we would have on any trip. Um, If there are multiple dive certifications available on a certain trip, do all participants do all the certs, or are there extra fees?
Yeah, we do all of them. So as long as the suits are available, so like on the Caribbean Marine Biology Voice, for instance, we offer the open water and the advanced open water. So students can get both of those. And then we do some aware certifications as well. So all of those are included in the price of our programs.
I just got another clarification about the kids max per trip. I already answered, but in case you missed, 12 would be the max, except for Bonaire, which would be 8. So that's what small means. It's good, a good point. Right. Don't see any other questions coming through now. So if you do have specific questions, like I mentioned, kind of specific to your circumstance, oh, sorry, one more. How does diving on Curacao versus the Caribbean differ, Chelsea?
Yeah. So for Curacao, it is all shore diving. So students can go to a variety of different dive sites. We have a pickup truck and a van, and so we can move around to different spots on the island and can kind of just plan our day out however we like, in a sense. Um, and in the Caribbean Marine Biology voyage, so we are boat diving, so we're on our own boat. So we do dive around the different islands. For that one, we're doing dinghy diving when we're living on a catamaran. So that does come with a couple of like extra challenges, but it's a lot of fun. Um, and students get to learn some skills like a giant stride off a boat, or they get to learn a backwards roll. So these are kind of like essential dive skills that you kind of take with you in the future as well. But for the most part, the open water course is very similar. It's just one you're entering the land and one you're getting on a boat. But the course is the same, the material is the same, and the instructor's passion is also the same. And it's very similar what you see underwater. I do think Curacao slightly has an increased population of sea turtles, but other than that, it's very much the same ecosystem.
I definitely see a lot of sea turtle pics, so
So funny.
great. So yes, If you think of other questions, feel free to reach out to us. I'll be sending the recording along later today or tomorrow. Oh, sorry. An average age of high school sessions, if kids are skewed a little older, juniors or seniors, um, it kind of depends on the year, I would say. Maybe slightly older in some of the academic programs, but we still get some ninth and 10th graders in those as well. Do you have an impression, Chelsea?
Um, I would say definitely for, I think once we get to like Fiji, we have like a minimum age of 15. And that program tends to just with, I think with the 3 college credits, we tend to just attract slightly older students. But I would say we get all grades of high school on any of these trips. And I know it seems like when you're in high school, like, oh, ninth grade and 12th grade is very, very different. And in terms of life phases, yes. But once you're on a program and you're all learning to dive together, you're all doing the academics together, it's very much like a family culture and community. And those lines very much blur once you're in the field. You're all willing to get involved and play all the games and you're all cooking together. It just creates like a really wholesome family vibe and community.
Yeah. Um, if a student discovers they experience seasickness, how do we address that?
Let it out.
Yeah, I would say that seasickness is pretty common, especially it usually resolves, I would say, within the first 2 days
Yeah.
on our boat-based programs. Um, so, we do have seasickness medication. If you're concerned about that, you can also bring your own with you. But typically, kind of, standing out, getting fresh air, looking at the horizon, those kind of techniques work. And then, yeah, after a couple days, the students do find they get their sea legs kind of and the seasickness
Yeah,
resolves.
they're also very stable vessels, and we
Mhm.
always sleep in like very secluded bays. So there's not typically a lot of rocking or anything like that. So it is kind of those first couple of days, and then maybe sometimes a sail day. But the instructors and the skippers can advise you on the best place to be for those days. Um, but for the most part, yeah, a lot of students are able to kind of like push through it, or they might have one bad afternoon, but other than that, they're okay.
All right. I will go ahead and end that here. And I'm so sorry if we didn't get to your question. Please reach out to us by email. We'd love to hear from you. And thank you so much for joining us today. It's
Thank
been great to
you.
talk with you and interact and share about our trips. We hope to hear from you soon.
Bye.